it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And we are here with our panelists this week to discuss some real talk here. First and foremost, thank everybody for continuing to support our channel that is available on Roku TV currently. And also join us on YouTube as well under Empower TV network to keep up to date with any videos that we post, drop, live streams, anything like that. If you have Roku but you don't have Empower, simply go to add channel, search for Empower, and add that channel and stay in the know. Not only will you have access to Head to Head, but you'll also have access to a lot of different content on there, from comedy to podcasts, talk shows, short films, and things of that nature. So please do that. And if you like it, please leave us comments at theparkermedia@gmail.com. If you would like to add some content as well, same email address, or if you know someone else that would. If you'd like for us to help with advertising your product, goods, or services, or events, please send us an email at theparkermedia@gmail.com. For as low as $20 a month, we can talk to you about possibly putting up to 200 ads a month on the channel. All right. Now just pay the bills. All that said, we're going to welcome our panel today. We have Mr. CJ Jones. How you doing, CJ?
Hey, how are you?
Man, I'm living the dream. The weather needs to make up his mind. Is it going to be hot or cold? Other than that, nothing can be finer in wet Carolina. How about Mr. Brad Carlton? How you doing, sir?
Sir, yes, sir. How you doing, Brian? It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you joining us. Guys. Yes, sir. Same here. And last, but certainly not least, we have the one, the only, the one that makes Empower be what it is, the one that brings us all these viewers from all over the world. Now we, like I said last week, we had the DR, we got Punta Cana, we got the United Kingdom, and we know that they're all coming to see one person and one person only. So ladies, and I know I mean ladies, without further ado, let's bring on the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm just curious how this all started, like Tucker Carlson's career. Like, how did this happen?
Man.
Well, I promise you won't see me staring at the screen like, I like, how does he do that? It doesn't matter what segment he does. He always has that look like, he has a look almost like he crapped himself and he don't know how he gonna get up out that chair. He like, I just get a stinky.
For real. Oh man, that is very accurate. Very accurate.
Yeah, I could look at. I don't want to go Tucker Carlson because he's just he said some crazy stuff, and you can tell what all he's really doing is he's trying to be a ratings grabber. He doesn't even say stuff out of facts, and you notice he always talks to his audience like they're stupid, because he'll say stuff like, "You ever wonder why the Democrats want to sit there and raise your taxes? Well, isn't it simply because," he talks to them like they're kids.
Well, actually, there's actually a reason. So if you guys don't watch Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, you really should watch that. The last one he did was his big prime time. You can find on YouTube, was on Tucker Carlson. But one of the things that he points out is the reason he asks questions is because he's just asking the hard questions, right? And although he's heavily implying that whatever he's asking is what the reality is. That is that is his deniability mechanism of saying, well, I didn't tell him that. I was just asking a question that people wanted to ask.
It's what we call a loaded question because it has the answer in it.
Yeah, it does.
Exactly.
It does. But yeah, that's his deniability, and that's his umbrella for, well, you can't sue me for asking questions.
Right.
Well,
that's journalism.
Well, it's funny when some people did try to sue him. The lawyers actually argued that, well, you really can't take him seriously because, you know, this is a lot of just hocus pocus stuff, basically. And they argued that he can't be taken seriously.
Well, Fox News is not a news channel. It's entertainment. They were sued overseas, and that was their defense is that this is entertainment, this isn't news. And just to finally wrap that up, his audience is idiots. So if you were curious why he was talking with those three symbols Mac words, that's why.
Yeah, it's just funny when he does that. It's just like, and I mean, you know, CJ, before we started, you know, he was talking about, you know, your chest, what do you call it? Your chest what?
Chest candy.
Chest candy, because of all the ribbons that you have. And, you know, we do appreciate the service of our men and women in the armed forces. And for Tucker Carlson to sit there and go into a tirade about our men and women in the military, I mean, that just pretty much shows that he's a piece of garbage, basically.
So I kind of missed that because I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Honestly, I don't, but I kind of heard what he said, and basically that the military is getting more feminine. And he was alluding to, so I'm a flyer. I fly on cargo airplanes and stuff, so I have one of the jumpsuits, a green jumpsuit. And so everything in the military is male geared, including our body armor and stuff. And which we find in combat, and CJ, you can back me up on this, for our female soldiers, hasn't always been the most comfortable things to wear, or and they don't offer the same kind of protection because of different body shapes and stuff, body types. And so they're actually coming up with a flight suit. So when women are pregnant, they can wear that, and they don't have to have that tight flight suit on them and stuff to accommodate them and stuff. And it was actually a program that was started under his buddy Trump, looking to make those accommodations. And as somebody who's flown with women who were pregnant, who could have used that, and you know, for somebody who's never served to talk about people who do serve,
that's my issue. That's my issue.
Yeah, but you know, but for the families that have their loved ones currently serving, or have served, or have died serving, paid the ultimate price.
Yeah.
To come out of your mouth so loosely like that, somebody needs to go over there and take care of that. I mean that was just despicable. I took such offense to that. And then the fact he's talking about, you know, women are fighting, they're going to be fighting our wars. Dude, do you not know if it wasn't for a woman, your dumb ass wouldn't even be on the air?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and they are fighting the wars right now. So
first of all, go ahead, man.
No.
What people tend to get confused, and I know you got me on this, Jay. Just because you had almost 100% of us men out there on the front lines and fighting and everything, who do you think that was taking care of us when we would be getting hurt? The women would be there. What social media tries to do is like this old-fashioned view of, you know, all the men go out to work and and all the women just stay back and be pretty. It's like they want to do this. What was that? Just like women just sit, be pretty, be dumb, while the men go out and work, and they're not, you know, educating, stuff like that. But when it comes to combat, these women would have to be just as much trained in retrieving the body to get it back to a safe spot so where they could be working on our fallen soldiers and everything. So either way around it, these women had to fight. Now, it may not have been like on as large as a population as we have it now, but they've always been in the fight. And as a matter of fact, if you go back and read some of their history, who was Joan of Arc?
Mm-hmm.
What did she do? That woman was a warrior. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean,
So
you're
is
absolutely
Nina.
right. From the beginning, my wife is a 20-year Air Force veteran and stuff. She served a couple tours and did her time downrange in Iraq. And don't worry, that's just a sponsor. And so, you know, she's done her stuff. So, you know, my wife wears combat boots, and so there are a lot of women who, like my wife, were out there in Iraq on convoys, driving big trucks, having to mount heavy machine guns and stuff, and defended her position and stuff. I mean, yeah. So, absolutely, but it just goes back to the point that Tucker and that party of Lincoln does not really respect. They don't really respect the armed services. They don't respect Blue Lives. They're just props for them when they need them to be props for photo ops or for trying to rally a base or whatever and stuff. But you know, Tucker Carlson is he is part of the Swanson. I didn't know this. He's part of the Swanson, the TV dinner family. So he's got money and stuff. And anybody that has money, has never served and stuff, they don't really respect those public servants and stuff. People who normally come from background like our own. You know, a lot, especially talking about the Army and stuff, a lot of brown and black people over there doing if the military is a pyramid, which it is, doing a lot of the work on the bottom to keep the pyramid up.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's kind of disgusting that he has the #1 show on cable TV. That's
right.
I don't see his appeal. He's one of the shows that I just cannot watch on Fox. And I mean, I don't watch any of the shows like full through, but I can't stomach him. He's nothing but garbage every time he's on the air.
And that's why he's popular.
Just reflect the same.
That's why he's popular.
And you're right, CJ, and you're right, Brad. That's the part that's crazy. He says the most incendiary, racist, xenophobic, because even with that comment, he took a dig at the whole transgender element of the military, talking about, you know, we don't even know, we don't have men or women, you know. That's where he was going with the whole femininity thing, because men don't know men are real men, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So he's taking digs at stuff, and he says the most crazy stuff, and you're right. He gets rewarded with the best ratings on a fake news channel.
Because people like shock. They like appalling things that'll be like, oh my God, did you hear that? That's what people want. They don't want facts. They don't want truth, because that's boring. It don't get me going. But,
even when people listen to Howard Stern and he was a shock jock, it was entertainment, but you ain't take Howard seriously. These people take Tucker seriously, though.
And they should. They actually should. Because for your history lesson for today,
here we go.
No, seriously, this is America. What are we talking about? We're talking about a country that was built on the back of minorities. And let me be clear, there are a lot of people out there, and I stand with my Asian brothers and sisters right now who are suffering tax stuff, but we're our own special bubble because we're not immigrants. We're imports.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
There's a big difference between somebody who came here looking for something and somebody who was forced to come here. So I stand united with my Asian brothers and stuff, but we're a whole different category. But the thing that unites us is it's America. America was built off this. Not 100 years ago, they were hanging Negroes in public and bringing the kids with picnic baskets.
Yeah, it was entertainment.
It was entertainment. That shocking
Tuesday night hangings.
Yeah, that shock you talking about, what they enjoy and stuff.
That's what they're doing now.
That's what and that's why I say yes, they should. They should take him seriously because his show is still built on the basics and the architecture of this country. That's the reason it's successful. It can be successful because it has the underlying, and sort of like what's going on with the guy down in Atlanta that killed those 8 people and stuff. Well, he was a racist. Well, a lot of people do racist stuff, but won't wear the title.
Right.
It's actually the only credit. Not. I'm saying this. I'm repeating what I heard. It's the only credit that white people don't want to take.
Wow.
Is being racist.
Wow.
They don't want it. It's the only title that they don't want to steal. That they deserve. That they actually went out and earned.
Yeah, they work for that.
Yeah.
They really do.
And so when you look at it, and you look at his show, and you look at where we come in history and stuff, and all the terrible things and atrocities that this country has committed, but they get offended if you bring them up. They take issue with you, or you just being angry and stuff. Well, maybe I'm just having a bad day, like my boy down in Georgia and stuff. Maybe I should be allowed to choose people and stuff, and y'all have some empathy for me. Y'all can talk about the music that I like and the things. Like I say, the history lesson here is that this country was built on racism. His show's built on racism. The reason his show's doing well in this country is because of that. Because he gets to dog whistle and say things that other people say. I had a young lady tell me about a conversation that she had with a guy at my job, and he said, that young white guy, he said, well, N-words. I said, well, there are black people, then there are the N-words and stuff. She said, no, they're not. It's just black people. You use that category to justify police brutality. You use that category to justify while we're stopped and frisked. Use that category to say, well, when somebody comes into the house of a sleeping woman and kills her and stuff, it's okay because she had niggas in the house.
Yeah,
but
just like when he had a raccoon or a
bobcat.
bobcat.
Because I still see there's good black people out there, but I do know that all niggas exist.
Right. I think they watched that Chris Rock special one too many times.
Yeah.
When he said, "I love black people."
I love, but I hate it.
Yeah. He said,
"Can we say that on the show?"
Morning when I'm at the ATM,
Can I feel
I'm not worried about black people. I'm worried about niggas.
Right.
I'm worried about them.
Yeah. So they might have watched that one too many times and decided that there was a difference.
They felt indoctrinated whenever he did that. Anyway.
Speaking of which, so we have two things that I had put in our notes to discuss, and they're connected. And I wanted to do it in the order that it actually kind of made sense.
All right. So
Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin decided to go on a conservative talk show. And, back in the days, especially being down south, you knew how most people felt about you. You just knew. They ain't even have to really say it. Most of the times they wouldn't say it, but the way they looked at you, the way they reacted to you, you had a pretty good idea of what, they always say, well, you can't tell a person's heart. No, you pretty much can tell what was in a person's heart. I don't know where they got that crap from.
It's called body language for a reason.
Yeah, hello. So Ron Johnson did us one better. Instead of letting us just read the tea leaves or try to figure out his body language, he just kind of put it out there. So this is part of what he said. Even though thousands of people that were marching to the Capitol were trying to pressure people like me. Well, this is a clip. First thing he said is that he gets in trouble because when he tells people on January 6th, about being afraid, he wasn't afraid. And he said he wasn't. He said, even though those thousands of people were marching to the Capitol, they were trying to pressure people to vote the way they wanted me to vote. I knew that those people loved this country, that they truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break the law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, Joe, this could get me in trouble. Is he speaking to Joe Pags? Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands. Now, we went from a couple thousand people, tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters. I might have been a little concerned. Yeah.
Got a little bit of racism out there on your.
You might want to wipe that off, right?
Yeah. Okay. So where do we want to start?
Well, number one, I'm pretty sure I'm going to ask this, and the consensus is no. Anybody surprised that he would feel more uncomfortable around a couple thousand black folk? Everybody, yeah, no, nobody surprised.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. I had a buddy of mine who we had a trip and went over to Africa and stuff, and he was there, and he kind of made it allude to the comment that, man, I kind of feel uncomfortable because I was the only white dude around, and I looked at him and said, well, how do you think I feel every day?
Every day.
This is you for a couple days. This is my life, and so I don't think anybody here is surprised that white people are uncomfortable. But you know what, man? If I came and stole your stuff and raped your wife and burnt down your church and did all these horrible and tore down your communities and stuff and constantly messing with you and stuff, and then there was a situation where I had to go out and that was just you and your boys around me and stuff, I might feel uncomfortable too.
Oh yeah. Be walking on eggshells. Yeah. Hello, how you doing there, brother? Broham? Yeah, of course. I
think it was more. I think he faced backlash for his comments, and then tried to make it sound like he was being the victim of cancel culture, which is weird because cancel culture normally means that nobody will touch you with a 10-foot pole, and he didn't have a lack of outlets to go and plead his case, kind of like Ted Cruz said the same thing about Cancun. It was like, well, dude, you're on TV every night talking about you were trying to be a good dad, so I don't know how you've been canceled. So Ron Johnson tried to pull the same stick where he goes out, says racist things, and then when somebody calls you a racist, then he acts like it's everybody else trying to, attack his character and everything. Here's my thing. There's a saying that says, if you walk like a duck and quack like a duck, you're probably a duck.
Yeah.
So if you say racist stuff, you're probably a damn racist.
Yeah.
And because what he was really insinuating and pointing to is that the fact that white folks stormed the Capitol, brought their own nooses, came chanting "Hang Mike Pence," did not respect law enforcement because they beat the hell out of them, brought bear spray, sprayed them, took their shields, beat them with their shields, took the gun, said kill him with his own gun.
Yep.
One officer actually died, 2 more committed suicide, and he says with a straight freaking face, they respect the law.
Blue lives matter.
Would never do anything to break the law.
And you forgot about the Confederate flags that was throughout from the front porch to the rotunda.
Well,
that's all you saw.
The only problem with that is he probably didn't know they took that from his front yard.
Man, come on.
You know what? He's talking to the same audience that we were talking about a minute ago.
Yeah.
They've never been held accountable for anything related to January 6th. So if you didn't feel threatened, Ron, why didn't you come out and talk to your people? Why didn't you come out and talk to these people who respect the country and respect the law? We didn't see you. You were hiding just like the rest of them were. You know what I mean?
That is true.
So we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear anything he has to say, especially this far removed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We don't want to hear anything he's got to say. It's garbage. They're all.
It was no comparison. No comparison. I mean, even in their far-fetched, stretched imaginations, could they ever do it? So even their own investigators, even their own researchers, had to come to the popular conclusion that Black Lives Matter, Antifa didn't have. There was no equal ground. Period. Across the board. And I for one, I was very thankful that they finally said it out loud, because normally they would have keep those facts. And this is what I was saying. People are not interested in facts and in truths. But I'm just glad that they put it out there anyway.
Well,
So for those of us who would even want to halfway research it, you would see it.
But see, what that's telling me though now, CJ, is that he knows that while there are going to be certain people that took what he said the way they took it, that he's got a covering. There's so many people that agree with him. He feels comfortable being able to say that.
Yeah.
Before, you could really say stuff like that because we went through the whole PC era.
Right.
Now that Trump has come up and basically told people, hey, you say whatever's on your mind.
Oh, yeah.
They've really taken full advantage of that. Now, I'm not saying he created the thought.
No.
But he did kind of give him the little opening to say, go and say it.
He championed it.
Right, because this week we're dealing with the fact that we have Asian Americans being targeted.
Yeah. And
some of that could be tied back to the fact that for over the last year, we have demonized Chinese Americans and basically not just Chinese Americans, Asian Americans, because sometimes they're just Asian Americans people assume are Chinese and they're not Chinese.
Yeah, they need to stop that.
And then they're attacking people on subways, talking about you brought the coronavirus here, like they did. One guy did that on a New York subway and stuff like that, making people apprehensive against people that do not look like them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, that same person didn't ever look at Asian Americans and have a certain opinion. Now he's creating these narratives in people's minds that these people are making our country dirtier, unsafe. They're doing all the crime and all these different things, and I got to protect my country. So we're storming the Capitol to preserve our democracy. So we're not really breaking the law. We're just trying to make America great again. Now, if it was a bunch of black folk, well, they just get in a tizzy because we put one damn knee on one dude and he died in front of a bunch of cameras, and they just seem to make a big poo out of that. It was only one guy.
Well, let me say this, man. I number one, I don't really believe that Ron Johnson is a racist. And here's why I say that, because racism in this country historically has been used to rile up poor white people, their base. Rich people believe in racism like Benny Hinn believed in God. Mm-hmm. I'm just here. He was just there to get the profit off of it. Not so much that really like politicians are like televangelists. They come out there and they want to lay their hands out there, but they really want the money. And so they understand that what motivates poor white people. And just like he came out and corrected himself, I do the same thing. I talk a lot of shit, but do I believe that all white people are evil? No, I'm not early Malcolm X before Mecca. I don't believe it. I don't believe in white devils and stuff like that. The things I'm referring to are people who are actually racist, not just in general sweeping terms of white people. And I think that's kind of what Ron came back and said. He was like, well, if you look at Black Lives Matter and Antifa, there's white people in there. So how can I be racist? Now, obviously, that was just a cover for his stuff, but he does make a good point. Say, well, you heard what you wanted to hear when he put that out there. Just like people who he was talking to heard what they wanted to hear. It's because of the way that we double talk, the way that we address these issues and stuff, the keywords triggered all those things that we say, but then we can go just like Tucker Carlson and say, I have deniability because of this and this and this and this. And I completely get it. But again, I don't really think, like Trump, does Trump really care? I don't think Trump really cares. I think Trump's about money. I think when people get to a certain level,
he's an opportunist.
He's an opportunist. And he saw, when he champions this stuff and when he puts that out there and stuff, he knows that's what generates the money to his PACs, to his donors and stuff like that. That's what he's doing. I think that, you have to look at, again, the way the system is built on racism, what racism really is. It's a prod and push. It's not just a systemic racism that's built into the systems and stuff. It's the mental warfare of racism that goes on too, where we say things, we make you mad, and then we come back and say, I wasn't even saying that. Knowing, trying to make you seem like you're crazy and stuff about what's going on and trying to discredit people about what's going on.
I didn't hit you. I didn't hit you. Your face keeps coming to my hand. So I mean that's on you.
That's on you.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, Jermaine, let me ask you then. So, is there a difference between someone that uses the racist flag and says racist things versus somebody that's being a racist? Because I think about what Andrew Gillum said that was really poignant, and I agree with it. You know, I'm not saying you're a racist, but the racists think you are.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. So I mean,
so is this more semantics, or is there really something definitive there where this is somebody that's an opportunist?
The viewers,
and then this person actually is a believer of those racist things.
I do, and that's the reason I draw the parallel to false prophets that used to show up on your TV all the time, and there are people at home who really, really believe in the Lord. They really believe in they believe in their God and their Savior, and they send these people money, and they pray really hard and stuff, and they're opportunists who are taking advantage of their faith and twisting it for their own stuff. You have to understand that, racism is a complex system. People want to drill it down and dumb it down, and that's the reason that they can escape it. The label racism, because they say, well, if I didn't burn a church, if I didn't hang a nigger, how can I be, and I didn't say the N-word, how can I be racist? Because we're going to make it real simple. If you don't fall in this tiny category, it's not racism, but racism, sort of like, again, the Georgia killer and stuff, they keep talking about that he had a sexual addiction and stuff. And I asked this, he was in Atlanta. He drove past Magic City and every other black strip club there with a sexual addiction.
I'm sorry.
So he deserved to be killed.
I'm sorry, what is Magic City?
Oh, no, you didn't.
That's in Orlando, right? That's in Florida.
Y'all
need to stop. Stop right now.
I'm interested to hear about Magic City. Oh, he can't tell us what it is. Now he can't tell us.
If his problem was truly with women,
it's a magical place. It's a magical place.
It's a magical place where money disappears. If his problem was truly with women, and he had his true sexual addiction and stuff, why did he pass by all these well-known opportunities, famous strip clubs and stuff, to go to a massage parlor?
Correct.
Why was the majority of his victims Asian women? But because he didn't say any kind of Asian slur, and he won't admit to it, somehow he's escaped this with what they want you to believe. Fox News says, if you don't fit in this bubble, you can't be a racist. And that's why they would say, I understand why you keep calling me racist. Ron Johnson, why you call me racist? I didn't say the N-word. I didn't hang nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, you're trying to do everything that a racist would do without taking the credit of being one.
Exactly.
Well, again,
I'm inclined to believe that it may be as it is. Like maybe the guy didn't have a thing against Asian people. Clearly, when you see his picture, to me, he clearly looks mentally ill. Like he's not right. And we know that from certain people. Colin Ferguson, who shot at people on the Metro North years ago, Long Island Railroad years ago. Mental health is strong in this country.
Yes.
People who are living on the edge, who are untreated issues, like last week we talked about untreated trauma, who have untreated mental health issues, who, when you say incendiary things, it touches them in a way it moves them to action. You know what I mean? So
right.
Like this guy maybe has been to a couple of these places several times and he's had the happy endings, and it's, you mix that with some mental health issues and guns, because everybody's got a gun.
Right.
It's going to happen. This stuff is going to happen.
Agree. So I think Ron Johnson got his message across. Now, the one thing that Ron kind of skated over was that the folks that stormed the Capitol, they weren't all just there to get him to vote the way they wanted to vote. because that had nothing to do with hauling out the Confederate flag. That had nothing to do with people hauling out, Jewish symbols of the Holocaust, where they were saying that, how many million was it? 8 million was not enough, or something like that was on people's shirts and things like that. Those were definitely white supremacists mixed in this group. And he skated over all of that to basically say that Black Lives Matter is on the same level as those people that stormed the Capitol. Let's keep in mind that most of the protests that were done by Black Lives Matter were peaceful protests. Did people come under the guise of that organization and cause some rioting, cause some interaction
3%.
with police, burn down some buildings and things like that?
3%, Brian.
Absolutely.
And they didn't have anything to do with it.
So he almost has a justification of why those people were upset that stormed the Capitol, but yet he doesn't seem to care or understand why people in the Black Lives Matter movement were out on the streets, particularly after George Floyd, but also Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, on and on and on and on and on and on. He can't seem to wrap his brain around why those people were protesting. It wasn't linked to a big lie. It was linked to the fact that you are killing Black people.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing, really two things. Number one, we just said that we acknowledged that the Black Lives Matter protests did turn into riots and stuff, especially in Portland, where they were out there and stuff. And we attribute that to people taking advantage of the people on the street. You have to respect the same argument from people who said, well, they went to the Capitol as a peaceful protest, and the same kind of element took over that and marched on the Capitol and stuff. The other thing, too, is that you got to understand those people were there for a good reason, because they truly, truly believe that the election was stolen and there's some funny stuff going on. Now, we can all sit back and go, well, that's not true, but they believed that. What we had to address is why they believed that, where they were getting that information from. That's what we have to get to. I'm not saying that they were all justified, because I don't believe that the election was rigged. The FBI doesn't believe the election was. The CIA, all these intelligence agencies don't believe that there was elections were rigged and stuff. Independent investigations by states show that we're in the 0.000 something for fraud, or even just bad addresses or bad signatures and stuff. It's probably, as it was said, the most secure election that we've ever had. But those people believed that, and so that's why they were there. And then they have their bad element that obviously likes to beat up on police. But they say those aren't our guys and stuff. I guess I'm being devil's advocate and saying that I understand the argument of why they say that, because we just got through saying, yeah, we had our protests, and yep, there's some stuff burnt, and there's some stuff going on, people occupying police stations and stuff like that, but that wasn't us, and I believe that we got to understand on the other side, that's how it sounds. It sounds the exact same way of our disbelief when we're talking about January 6th.
And I would agree with you. But if they didn't believe it when we said it, then why the hell we gonna believe it when they say it?
And you have the investigations and the numbers and the actual proof that that's what made the difference when everything was broken down. And that's what I was referencing earlier when I was saying that when the protesters for Black Lives Matter was happening and everything, and of course that with the help of different social medias and stuff, they're going to always emphasize people that look like us as being like this great big number, but y'all know in reality we're actually very small. And I will never go out here and just say generally that was us, but that wasn't us. Yeah, no, there was people that looked like us that went out there and did that. but they were not an actual part of the movement. You had people that was under the Black Lives Matter, just like how you had people out here in front of the Capitol. But for the majority, or for the people that did the damage and different things like that, it was by far supported. It was all driven by the majority of people that went there to overturn, to kill, to do all these things that they claiming that they say, well, Black Matters did the same. Black Lives Matter movement did, was there for the same reason, and it wasn't. We were there to say, hey, something is going on here. Our house is on fire. Why y'all not helping us put out the fire? Versus, hey, we're here to take this over because we don't like the fact that our president 45 has the high probability of being removed. So I mean, two different agendas by far, and no damage to anyone's property is good for any reason. But to say that they were the same, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
We remember a couple of things. Sorry, you remember a couple of things. Remember this past summer when I want to say it was somewhere. It was in George Floyd's state where that happened. Excuse me, drawing a blank. Right, there was a peaceful protest, and they caught the person masked, white person, up to, I believe it was the AutoZone. That's kind of where it just was organically gathering. People were gathering. And this unidentified person walked up and just started breaking windows and confronted. And people would say, hey, whoa.
What are you doing? Right. And just magically disappears from the crowd. We know that took place in Black Lives Matter protests throughout the country. We know that they were there doing that. And so what they always do is they want to flip it. And they, oh, well, the people who stormed the Capitol, that was Antifa. Antifa was there doing that. Nah, man, we got the goods. We know that was the 3%ers. We know that was the Proud Boys. We know all of those groups and organizations were there. They were proud. They stated why they were there, and there. They were very clear about that. They were extremely clear.
There were
the one thing you can say about these folks is they're pretty damn dumb, and they don't have the nuance to say, oh no.
And as far as the sincere believers, I just want to say something about that, because just like in every group, like how my man Jermaine was saying, you do have true believers in whatever you believe in. If you go back and look at those videotapes, guys, they were actually telling them, hey, listen, we know why y'all here, but we're here for something else. So we're gonna go forward. We're gonna take care of business. So if you're not here for that, then y'all stay out there. So they were already separating themselves before they even reached the Capitol steps. And they, again, like Brad's saying, this stuff is on videotape. They are loud and proud. They are in full HD color saying these things on megaphones. They were literally splitting the crowds. And that's why they had that one little white lady on there. She was truly confused. She didn't know what to do. She thought she was there for the actual righteous reasons. You know, I want to stand up for, something that's very questionable in my country. Okay, yeah, cool. But then when she began to realize, wait a minute, whoa.
Why are they scaling the building?
Right.
Why are they breaking down the door?
So she stood there and cried. So I get that. I get the true believer.
Why are they talking about Blue Lives Matter, but they're beating the hell out of police?
Exactly.
Right.
So you do have true believers.
Why is it that they were able to do that? Because if it had been Black Lives Matter and Antifa, them black folks would have been dead.
Yes.
Yeah, we know that.
The outcome would have been different.
Lots of black bags.
Yeah. And the good thing about Ron Johnson, his memory is just a little off, because he's the senator from Wisconsin, and there's a little town in Kenosha.
Oh wow.
That just so happens to be in Wisconsin. And there's a certain dude associated with the Boogaloo Boys named Kyle Rittenhouse. that decided to cross state lines, come over into lowly Kenosha, and decided to help law
Oh, he was just a
enforcement
proud American.
keep up the law. Yeah, because he's a patriot.
Mhm.
And he decided to kill 2 people.
But that was okay because he was standing up for what was right.
He was protecting property, he said.
Yeah,
Even
because
though
the police officers love vigilantes.
even though it was unlawful for a 17-year-old to have a gun in the first place, so he illegally had a gun. He tried to cross state lines. All those felonies.
Oh yeah.
But no problem with that.
Yeah, nobody looked at that, or let alone being in a bar.
Right.
Yeah,
because his mom got him there. Yeah. So the whole thing with the white supremacy is very unfortunate, because then Joy Reid made a reference about Tim Scott, senator from South Carolina, the only black senator in the Senate, standing out front, and basically she was calling him a token without saying the word token. But I'm gonna say it. He was a token.
Yeah.
Because he's the only symbol that Republicans in the Senate have to point to as their diversity. He's their example. It's like when Trump sat there and pointed in the crowd and says, "There's my African,
there's my friend, there's my African, friend." Yeah.
And that's what the Republicans do with Tim Scott. Anytime they want to roll out something that has to do with police reform or something like that, they roll out Tim Scott, and they turn him on, because I'm convinced he's a robot. They turn him on, and he just starts spilling out this bull crap. So he was on Fox News with another former congressman from South Carolina, Trey Gowdy, who's now a Fox News host. And he sat there and said to Trey Gowdy, woke supremacy is as bad as white supremacy. We need to take that seriously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he said that, Ryan, literally.
Now, trust me, that wasn't my moment about Tim Scott to realize that there's a whole lot of words that I could reference Tim Scott to be in. Words that I wouldn't want nobody to call on me, but I would hope that if they said it and it was accurate, it would make me reflect on myself. Some rhyme with Boone.
That's real. For real.
But he reminds me of Candace Owens doing this opportunistic tap dance where he's basically going to sit there and tear down his own people. Number one, you're black.
Yeah.
Number two, you are from the state of South Carolina. You better than most should understand what white supremacy is.
And what being woke is.
And you should never compare that to something as stupid as what you have tied to political correctness and cancel culture. That would be like a Jewish person comparing the Holocaust to something as stupid as that.
Yeah.
White supremacy. You show me how woke supremacy has hung up black folks. You show me how woke supremacy has tried to kill people.
Well, first of all, you can't even use woke and supremacy in the same.
Right.
In the same person.
It don't even exist. It doesn't even exist.
By definition, it don't even exist. Okay,
right.
That was just a made-up phrase. Okay, so for those of us who don't know what woke is, I actually went and looked up the definition for it. Okay.
You done prepared for the show.
Oh yes, I was ready. Oh yes. Okay. So let us educate ourselves.
Here we go.
All right. So being woke is a slang term. Being alert as to radical and or to racial or social injustice. Officially added to the Oxford Dictionary as an adjective in June of 2017. Originally meaning well-informed, up-to-date, chiefly used to be alert or social discrimination. That's the actual definition, guys. All it just means is that you are making yourself aware.
Well, I think.
Hello? Whoa.
Yeah. See,
You are educating yourself.
I think the problem that they're trying to create is saying that there's a bunch of people that are woke now that are aware of that. They're activists for racial and social justice, but that what they're doing is they're using that to look down on people that do not share those same ideas.
Okay, so let's look at supremacy.
And they're trying to call that a woke supremacy.
Okay, well then let's define supremacy.
Supremacy. Okay.
Supremacy is the quality or the state of being supreme. Supreme authority or power. Okay, you just think you're better. It's the state of being that you're higher or better.
Right.
When a person is woke, you're just coming to the knowledge of something. And you remember, like back in the day, like I don't know if you guys watch Schoolhouse Rock. There was a little that was a little thing how they would say it, like at the beginning of the show, like as your body grows bigger, your mind grows like flowers. It's great to learn because knowledge is power. What they're really saying is that what they're really afraid, what they really are saying is that they are just afraid of the power that we would gain from our knowledge, and it scares the living crap out of them. The more you know, the more you grow. I mean, even the Bible says, happy is the man that gaineth wisdom.
Wow.
So, I mean, come on.
Thanks, CJ.
I really got to start writing down notes.
Yeah, I mean, he might drop that, didn't he? He brought in scripture.
Hallelujah.
I mean, you about as good as old Raphael Warnock yesterday on the Senate floor.
That's my dude. I like him. I like him.
Yeah. Warnock make you sit up straight.
Hold on now, because I ain't done with you. I got one more.
Okay, Reverend, get your water, wipe your mouth. You gotta say nah.
And Nara. In the book of Hosea.
Well,
the 4th chapter, the 6th verse.
That's right.
My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, and that is what has been going on.
Wow. Now, wait a minute now. Are you suggesting that these evangelicals are turning down the quest for knowledge because it may cause them to be in a state of being of wokeness?
Oh, don't you put it together. Don't you put it together.
Did I just...
whoop, whoop, whoop. See, oh, bam! I laid it up there. I just threw it off the backboard.
You Kobe, I'm saying. Kobe the Shaq. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
No, you know what? I can't dispute anything you said because that's what it sounds like is when did having knowledge make you stupid?
Or supreme. Basically, they're saying that because we have woke up to the fact of these undercurrent suppressions, depressions, oppressions, all these pressions, that somehow we feel like no, it makes a person feel better. Yeah, it's going to make you feel better. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be in a place where I feel like I'm so much above you. That's how you feel about me. It's not how I feel about you.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that you brought up the whole Tim Scott and South Carolina today. And earlier we were talking about soldiers. I came across a story today. It's the birthday of a soldier who back in the 1940s was coming home on leave. Snatched off the Greyhound bus. Beaten so badly that both of his eye sockets were irreparable. Like he couldn't see for the rest of his life. This young, handsome, tall, vibrant young man was literally had his vision taken away from him by police officers in the state of South Carolina, and he went on to live another 50 years. Ended up dying. He passed away right here in the Bronx at the Veterans Hospital. So it's ironic that you were talking about Tim Scott in the state of South Carolina. And the woeful history that they have, throughout the South.
Yes.
of just literally beating the hell out of us,
Mm-hmm.
never being held accountable. And here it is. You could draw the parallel that they tried to beat the hell out of the country with on January 6th, and they're not being held accountable. They're absolutely not being. No one's going to be charged in the officer's death. I've yet to see a murder charge, or they're not going to be able to link it. And the ones that they are arresting, some of them they're just being allowed to walk and not being held.
And how do you as a black man casually try to equivocate white supremacy to anything? Anything. 400 years.
Yeah.
Well, and you're talking about something that has just recently come up as, it's a trend or whatever, but you're talking, the history of white supremacy. You saw that Confederate flag fly over that state capitol for years, and you knew what it represented.
Well,
and instead,
so.
you're connecting yourself to your party more than to your own people.
So black people are not a monolith. And I'll say this, everybody's experience of being black is not the same. There are a lot of people who grew up in the house and were part of the family. Tim Scott's part of the family. And so when you look at something and it brings up, there are certain things that we think of, whether it be auditory, whether it be things that we smell, whether visual things that remind us of home and instill in us a certain feeling about things. The Confederate flag, for a lot of black people, represents the South. It represents slavery. It represents the brutality of our people and stuff. For other people, it doesn't represent anything. And for Tim Scott, it does not connect for him on that level. And I think it's simply because, and again, this kind of goes back to my, I don't hate all white people kind of thing. I don't, because the experience of white people are not a monolith either. They have different experiences. They have different ways that they have interacted. That's why a lot, honestly, now I do know some white people who would get offended if you said some stuff about, white supremacy, this and that, because in their experience, everything was kumbaya on their side of the fence.
Yeah, it was.
They've never done anything racist, at least in their view. There might have been that one time that they dressed up like Michael Jackson, used a little blackface, but that, but everybody was doing it, right?
It was a party. It was a party, and everybody had fun.
It was a party. You can be governor. You can be governor. But, but for them, their experience is different. For Tim Scott, and I think that's the thing, too, when we talk about the Hodge twins, Candace Owens, and some of these other people who we call tap dancing fools, or maybe that's just what I call them.
Stacey Dash.
Stacey Dash. Well, Stacey Dash. Stacey Dash
trying to come home. Stacey want to come home.
Back home.
She's trying to come home.
She's trying to come home. She
renounced. Come on my porch.
She renounced everything she said.
Yeah.
I saw that week. Oh.
Yeah.
Right. I was about to say. I almost forgot we was recording. Yeah, I saw that. Not impressed. But she can keep on.
She still look good though.
So was any of those people who have, and remember, there are a lot of times that we see this a lot of times in POW camps and prisoners and stuff like that. The Nightingale syndrome, is Lawrence Nightingale syndrome, where the captors, people fall in love with their captors and stuff. They fall in love with the system that has oppressed them. Mm-hmm. Because that's how they deal with it. It's easier to embrace it than it is to try to cast it off. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this: not everybody is made from the same material. Yeah. If you can boil potato, the same water that boils a potato makes it soft, makes an egg hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, just because black people were put in, every black person ain't an egg. There's a lot of potatoes out there who got soft from the oppression and stuff. And like I said again, everybody's not the same. And so Tim Scott I think he's entitled to his opinion. I think it's wrong, but he's entitled to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with you in everything that you said, but I totally disagree with you.
Well, come on with it.
Well, only because, and I know, but no, you're right. We're not a monolith. We all come from different experiences that frame who we are, how we think, how we react to certain situations. When I see a Confederate flag as a black man, it's going to mean something to me totally different, not only to another white person, but even to another black person. They may see the Confederate flag and they saw it when they were kids through the Dukes of Hazzard and on the General Lee, and didn't think two things about it. We used to have a General Lee when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
But I grew the F up.
Yeah.
Now, just because I grew up and learned that, hey, that may not have been the most coolest thing to see, some people stay in that state, and I understand that. Historically, South Carolina has been one of those states that, as an African American, it's kind of hard to ever forget for one day that you're black.
No, because they constantly remind you that you are.
They do their damnedest in South Carolina, not only to remind you that you're black, but that you're subhuman.
Exactly. And that's what I've been living with.
So if he did not catch any glimpse of that experience, then I feel bad for him more than anything. But then to go on a national televised show and show your ignorance, I'm not saying that you can't believe that woke supremacy, if you really want to define that as something, is a problem. But what I would take exception to is you saying that it's equivocated with white supremacy, because as somebody that graduated from Charleston Southern, you should have had enough education to know that there's distinctly a difference between what you consider somebody being, either you don't understand what being woke is, or you don't understand what white supremacy is. But then
I think the second part, though. But
then what that tells me is that then you just ignorant.
Exactly. So just be ignorant, but don't try to sit up there and compare the two and say, number one is an actual thing. The other one, like how we just learned today, it's just a slang term, but just meaning that I have come to the knowledge of something is going on.
I don't even have a problem if it's I don't have a problem. It's a real thing. I don't think woke supremacy is a bad thing.
I think that the important thing, especially for me to point out in this conversation, is that you're all right, you're handsome guys, and I don't want no beef. But what's really important on top of that is that not everybody gets the same level of education when it comes to these things. Black or white.
Get your ankles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had a young lady that I worked with at the Air National Guard. Very sweet woman. I love her husband. They have beautiful kids and stuff. And I tend to post some things on my stories and threads on social media and stuff. And so she reached out to me, and she earnestly was like, well, I don't understand. And so I said, hey, do me a favor, go on Netflix and look at 13.
Okay.
And she did. And when she texted me back, literally, she went and watched it. When I said go watch it, she went and watched it, because it wasn't like an hour later. She texted me back. She's like, I'm so ashamed that I don't know what to do.
Wow.
Now, it wasn't because, would I have ever called her racist prior to that? No, absolutely not. She never did anything that way. She's never said anything to me.
She ain't nobody.
She ain't nobody. She's just a good woman. She comes from a good family, got good kids, all that kind of good stuff. But she didn't have the information to connect the things that I was saying. When I was saying certain things, they're like, well, I don't understand. I don't think that to be true. As soon as she got some information,
she got woke.
Well, she got woke.
My thing to you guys is that you got to understand, everybody ain't woke. We still got some sleeping giants out there who are sleepwalking through this thing, and they just hadn't been exposed. Because I'll tell you this, I'm 45. It's probably been in the last 10 years of my really understanding the Black history and the atrocities that have happened outside of slavery.
Yeah.
I think we all grew up with the Black History Month with the idea that slavery was a bad thing. But when you look at Reconstruction, when you look at Jim Crow, when you look at redlining, when you look at the civil rights movement, when you look at the burning, I actually had a thing on Facebook to remind me. I actually was out in Oklahoma for training 2 years ago. So it's been 2 years since I actually got to go to Tulsa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I saw those pictures again and stuff. And so, I made it was like a 3 or 4 hour drive from where I was, but I figured that was the closest I was ever going to get to driving to Tulsa and going to Black Wall Street. And I went there. And when you read the history and stuff and you see the depths, it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to never even have the conversation. And I think a lot of Black people don't really have, you think about Rosewood down in Florida and stuff. You think about Wilmington. I mean, you could just start naming places, right? But if you said 10 years ago to me and start naming Chicago and all these other places, communities that have been erased and stuff, if you had told me, I was dating a young lady a couple of years ago, and she was the first person to tell me that they had dropped a bomb in Philadelphia on a Black neighborhood. I'd never heard that before.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
I've never heard that.
The term woke has taken its center stage now.
Yeah.
Back to childhood, just having conversations and having discussions with different people and, oh man, and that brother's sleeping, you need to wake up. So it's been around.
It's been around.
It's been around since before our time.
We're bringing it back full circle.
You need to wake them up.
Right. We're bringing it back full circle about being woke and Fox News not giving people the information and or news that they need to know. So they are kind of sleeping. You know what I mean? They need to be awoken to what's happening in reality because they're getting a narrative. It's just correct narrative. It's just not.
Well, it's fair.
And it's not like it's that knowledge is not available. I mean, because, really, Google.
Yeah, but you got to know.
It's not even
the question to ask, and you got to have a reason to ask the question. And so that's why I think that these conversations are important because somebody who might see this conversation, as we're being seen worldwide now, there might be somebody in another country who's like, well, I never thought to ask a question about what happened between slavery and civil rights.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you're not looking, I don't know how many times that you just use Google and put in Black Massacre. I don't. I did in 2002 after I had these 2 twins. But outside of stuff like that, you just don't put in your search bar stuff that you have to know the questions.
I do if I'm looking for something on Pornhub. I definitely put in Black Massacre.
Hold on. What's Pornhub?
I have no idea.
And again, it's all about your sources, right? You ever notice how on Fox
it's research. It's research.
I like how
it's research.
I like how he flipped it. I want my question answered, sir.
It's research.
What is that?
Oh, bro, you wrong.
Do you like Sharon Osbourne? Hey, look, we're gonna go to commercial break, and when we come back,
we're gonna go on how long is the commercial? Forever.
Forever.
How dare you shed a tear? How dare you shed a tear?
And it's funny you say that. I wanted to actually touch on that, and we might have to the next time, depending on what happens with the talk.
Yeah.
Because that deserves a whole lot more time than I got time to give it. But that was some foolishness too that's going on. So that's definitely a good one too. And Jermaine, you're right, guys, you're right. We're gonna close, but the whole thing that we want to remember is that there's nothing wrong with being aware of your surroundings. Right. There are a lot of people that want us to stay in our box, our comfortable zones of just operating under the status quo, not really questioning things and just existing. And there's a lot of us now that see that some of the things that we thought were cool back in the day, how I brought up the Dukes of Hazzard and things like that, and now how even Dr. Seuss estate is acknowledging that some of their depictions of different races could be viewed as racist because of the stereotypes that they portray. And they made a decision to remove 6 books out of their collection because they decided to become woke. Becoming woke just means that you reach a whole nother level of understanding. You see something outside of yourself and you see the bigger picture in it, and you want to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are very uncomfortable with change. Why do I got to change? Why can't things just be the way that they are? It's always worked for us. Why do we need to change?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if those things hadn't been questioned, we wouldn't have the right to vote. Women wouldn't have the right to vote. There would be no Title IX. A lot of the things and the atrocities that happened in the past would continue to happen because those things were not questioned and pushed on. Some may say Martin Luther King Jr. was woke. Some people may say Malcolm X was woke. Those different movements gave us a different way of looking at things in our place in the society. That's why I continuously say woke is not a bad thing. Now, if the wokeness makes you feel that you are better than someone, then you are taking it to a whole nother level that you should not be. Be grateful for being woke because, as we alluded to, everyone isn't. Our goal is to help people come to more of a realization. Had that lady not reached out to Jermaine, would her views have changed? Maybe eventually, but maybe not that day. So we always want to make sure that whatever you get, you use it in the right way to encourage, to uplift other people than just yourself. This is going to do it for us this week. Brian Parker with Head to Head. We'll see you guys next week. Thank my panelists, CJ Jones, Brad Cawthon, and as always, the one that keeps the bills going, the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker. I'll see y'all next week. Y'all take care. And as always, and I did get this from Dr. Fauci, wear a damn mask. He's out, y'all.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.